Want to know how to set a goal and then turn it into reality? According to our next guest, it's not as hard as you might think. He has some tips for incorporating strategy into your life as well as understanding the strategy of others. Joining us now is Rich Horwath, Professor of Strategy at Lake Forest Graduate School of Management and author of the new book, Deep Dive, the proven method for building strategy, focusing your resources, and taking smart action. Welcome to Chicago tonight.
Phil, good to be here.
Basic definitional question. What is strategic thinking?
You know, Phil, in today's world, strategic thinking is all about getting through all the information that's coming at us through the internet, through blogs, through Twitter, and picking out the one or two things that can really make us happy or make us successful. So strategic thinking is your ability to come up with those one or two things that will really make you happy and successful.
So is it the same thing as setting goals, or is there more to it than that?
You know, it's really a process of 3 steps. The first step is to set the goal. And we all set goals, but very few of us take the time to actually write them down. What specifically are we trying to achieve? Do we want that next promotion? Do we want to lose weight? What are we trying to achieve? We need to write that down. The second step then is really to be able to focus. Take our time, take our talent, and focus on those 1 or 2 areas that really, really will help us be successful. And you know, Phil, a lot of times we have a to-do list, you know, it's on our desk, we've got that to-do list, but what we don't have is the not to-do list. Where are the places I'm not going to spend my time, my talents, so I can focus to be really successful in those other areas? And then the last piece is really to be able to ask ourselves, how can we differentiate ourselves from the other folks that are doing what we're doing?
Let's talk about, because you get into this in your book, and that is the biggest mistakes that CEOs, for example, make when it comes to strategy. You outline sort of like the 3 components of it as you see it. Where do CEOs tend to mess up?
Well, you know, Phil, a couple weeks ago, Carol Bartz, who is the CEO of Yahoo, they announced a big alliance with Microsoft. And in announcing the alliance, she said, our primary strategy is to grow our audience, which is great, except that's not really a strategy at all. It's a goal. It's what she's trying to achieve. The strategy or our plan is our pathway to get us to the goal. And I think a lot of times, even at the highest levels of organizations, we confuse what we're trying to achieve, our goals, with how we're going to get there, which is our strategy.
I see. Well, I know you have thoughts on specific things that are in the news. For example, the strategy of Chicago's Olympic bid. How would you assess it?
Well, you know, if you look at Chicago as a city historically, we've got a wonderful, wonderful heritage. It goes back to Daniel Burnham and the plan of 1909 for Chicago. And when you look at the main idea of that plan, it was really to create a tie with nature and to open up the lakefront for people and really enhance that experience of community. And I think when you look at Chicago and the Olympic bid, really what we're trying to do is enhance the lakefront, enhance access to community and to culture. And with the enhancements that they're being proposed, I think that the Olympic bid is a wonderful strategy. We've got some formidable competition in Tokyo and Rio de Janeiro, but I think with President Obama as popular as ever worldwide, I think this is an ideal time to try and finish that vision that Daniel Burnham had.
Well, okay, but let's talk about, if the goal for the city of Chicago is to get the Olympics, how has the strategy been in reaching that goal? I mean, when you look at what's going on in terms of community reaction to the mayor's commitment, alleged commitment to have the city guarantee it, how would you assess the strategy of obtaining the games?
It's interesting because there's a lot of questions, as you mentioned, critics saying, well, we're spending too much to get the games, we could be doing other things with the resources. I would say the strategy has been very good to this point, because the reality is when you host something, if we host a dinner party at our houses, you know, the host is designed to really create a memorable experience or a shared experience for others. And I think the way Chicago's going about it is really very good. The only knock I'd say so far is the Olympic Village. I think it looks not differentiated enough, not as true to Chicago architecture as maybe it should, and I think we can modify that.
Well, you talk about strategy that other organizations have. For example, I know you have some thoughts on the strategy of the Bears trading for Jay Cutler. If their goal is the Super Bowl, let's assume it is.
Right.
Your assessment of their strategy with this new quarterback.
Well, it's funny because in the papers lately, the deal has taken some criticism about getting Jay Cutler. You use a first-round, third-round pick, you trade your starting quarterback. But when you objectively look at the statistical difference between Jay Cutler and what we had in Rex Grossman and Kyle Orton, there's no question. I think Jerry Angelo's strategy in getting him is going to definitely help us get there, because you need a Pro Bowl type of athlete at that position to help you be better. And so I like the strategy.
You compare the successes, in your book, you compare the successes of Johnny Cash and the Mini Cooper. What do Johnny Cash and the Mini Cooper have in common that makes for a good strategy?
You know, Johnny Cash, Phil, as you know, growing up, he didn't have the best singing voice. He had great songwriting abilities, not the best singing voice. The Mini Cooper, in the same respect, not the highest performance car on the road, but they were both different from their competition in ways that their core fans or core customers valued. And when we look at the reason GM and some of the U.S. automakers have been in trouble, I think it's because we've tried to be better and not different. Different value is what customers want today. And people like Johnny Cash have offered that. And so I think in our everyday lives, if we focus on not trying to be better than everybody else, but how are we different that adds value to people's lives, personally and professionally, that's a much better starting place.
And sticking with the theme as we close on goals in one's personal life, besides differentiating yourself, sort of branding yourself as something, as a unique entity, what other kinds of personal tips are useful?
Well, again, I think it goes back to what are we trying to be? You know, are we trying to spend more time with our family? Are we trying to reach the height of the career ladder? What are we trying to do? I think we're so busy running like hamsters on a wheel sometimes, we don't pull back and take time to think about what's next. What do we want to see our lives look like? If we can paint that picture and write it down, that gives us a tangible way to start creating that path or that strategy to get there.
Thank you very much for being here. Words to keep in mind as all of us evolve, I guess.
Thanks, Phil.
And again, the name of the book, Deep Dive, the proven method for building strategy, focusing your resources, and taking smart action. And that's our show for this Tuesday night. I hope you join us tomorrow night live at 7. He was George Ryan's right-hand man, but his testimony helped prosecutors convict the former governor. Carol Maureen goes one-on-one with Scott Faywell in his first interview since his conviction and incarceration. And the latest on Governor Quinn's ultimatum to the remaining University of Illinois trustees. Now, for all of us here at Chicago Tonight, I'm Phil Ponce, and I thank you for watching. Good night.